Hello, welcome to another video from Overpaid, Over the Bar, Fantasy Premier League. I'm back this week with John Holloway. We're going to talk about the game week ahead, which is game week 8, and our progress so far. Hi, John, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Ant. Yeah, the midweek break, the international break. It's always difficult for me because I literally switch off fantasy for a fortnight, and then you call me up and said, "Oh, we need to do some sort of recording," and I thought, "Oh God, that's tomorrow," and I don't know where the time went. And I quite enjoyed actually not focusing on fantasy football for a fortnight. It was pretty good. Apart from
That's
that,
that's great because a lot of people are the opposite. They can't wait for the Premier League to come back because they support a Premier League team. I suppose in your case, that's not so much like a longing anticipation, more
no,
the
no, more like I thought the season was over and I was enjoying the break from the pain.
I mean, you could be a Man United fan, it could be worse.
It could be worse. Yeah. Yeah. Had a very rough time. This week, you said we're going to be looking at game week 8.
Yeah, so I want to look at how we've been doing since we last spoke. So we spoke just before game week 6.
Okay.
And I showed you my wild card ideas, and you were like, "That's interesting." And we were contemplating how much damage Haaland would do to me because I didn't have him.
Okay.
Um, and as it turned out, I lucked out in the most incredible way with captains of Palmer and Saka in like successive weeks. Um, And we're coming now to the point where I'm actually terrified of Haaland again. I was quite not confident. I wasn't confident that Haaland would blank or anything like that, but I was feeling that I could get through those weeks okay, without too much damage. But now I'm like, oh, he's playing Wolves away, Southampton at home, and all the other captain choices are absolutely crap. We're going to look at that, but there's no other good
Right.
captain choices for game week 8. So I'm looking at that going, there is a
Do
way
you
I can get him back.
do you have a couple of transfers you can make?
What's that?
Do you have a couple of free transfers?
Yeah, I've got 3 in total that I can make.
Do you have a couple of free transfers?
Yeah, 2 free
Okay.
transfers and 1 normal one. Yeah, so I've got 3. Yeah, so
Hmm.
there is a way of doing it. But you've done okay as well. I mean, you're ranked man up in game week. I think you dropped a bit last week, but the week before you're still touching. I mean, anyone near a million is doing fine at this point in time because, like, I mean, I think I got to a million at Christmas last year before I actually got anywhere near a million. Like over the season, that's quite good to be in a million at this point.
Yeah, my first red arrow actually was game week 7. Until then, I'd gone from five, 5.5 million up to 800,000 something. So I made 5 million. I made up 5 million places in 6 weeks, and then last week I had quite an average week. But of course, as you get towards the thinner end of the wedge, it's easy to drop places. But not too disheartened. I think I'd settle for that if you'd offered it to me at the beginning of the season. I don't know if I've bitten your hand off, but it's okay. So far, so good, and still kind of in and around it. That's good. I've not been left way behind yet.
So
Let's have a little look here. Yeah,
looking at this, um,
is that from last week?
this is your last week's score, which is 45, which was like average
Average.
score.
Yeah, so it was an average score, nothing too special. Let down by my captain, I suppose. I had both Haaland and Salah, my big hitters, and they both of them did nothing. Um, Yeah, nothing really to write home about. I didn't have Saka against Southampton, and I knew that was going to happen, and that's made me very angry. But
On 2
I'll get
fronts, really.
yeah. Can't
Um,
have them all. That's the problem. You can't have them all. You can't have Palmer and Salah and Haaland and Saka. It's difficult to squeeze everybody in, and there'll be weeks where you do fine and weeks where it's not so good. But that's all right. That's like an average week to me.
and what
Um,
what transfers have you got any free transfers in the bank?
That's right. I made 3 transfers. I've already done them actually.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, I made them 2 weeks ago. Uh, I
wow.
like to do that. I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it. I think I made them during the fixtures,
Wow.
uh, during the weekend of the games, of the last games, game week 7. 2 weeks ago, I made my changes because I just wanted to switch off and not spend 2 weeks looking every day at who's rising, falling, who's injured, who's got a yellow flag. I thought, I'll just do it now, and then I can switch off for
John,
15
is there a way
minutes.
of getting your internet signal a bit better, like the door you just closed, like opening it up again, maybe? Because occasionally you cut
Yeah.
out a little bit, like it cuts out
Oh,
mid-sentence and comes back in, kind of thing.
all right. What do you mean? Open the door?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, looking at this, Smith Rowe, Rogers, Palmer, Salah, Haaland, Solanke, I wouldn't sell any of them. They could all return this week.
Mm-hmm.
Collins and Fass are fine. Maybe you're looking at selling possibly Barnes. How much is Barnes?
Cheap.
6.5. I mean,
Yeah.
you could get. Oh, I see you've already done 3 transfers. So I'm going to guess what they are. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I reckon you went from Barnes to Brennan Rodgers. And I think you possibly sold Salah
I've got,
because it's
you think I
upcoming
went from Barnes to who?
Brennan Rodgers, Spurs.
I've
And
already got a Spurs player. I can't because I've already got a Spurs player
oh,
in tomorrow.
Solanke, yeah, Solanke covers that, yeah. And you've probably sold Salah, I think, because Liverpool's upcoming fixtures are looking much more difficult. I'm just guessing. Um, I'm going to say you sold Salah for somebody a bit cheaper, but that I mean that's everybody in midfield. Possibly Son. No, you said got a Spurs player, possibly Saka, maybe. I don't know. Saka is so Arteta is so annoying.
Mm,
It's like Saka went off in the first of the 2 England games with a
right.
knock, and before the
He's yellow
second,
flag, isn't he?
yeah, before the second England game, Lee Carsley actually said he was okay to play, but he's gone back to his club, more or less on the lines of he's going to be okay. But I was wondering, like, is Lee Carsley in on this? Because like Arteta dropped him, so I'll give you a little favor, just say he's okay. Do you know what I mean? I can't trust anyone now. Like
Mm.
Arsenal players, and they do this, and they told Raya one week not to arrive at the hotel with the team, and
All
then he
right.
played, and everyone went, he's not in the squad on the day of the game, and then he fucking started in the week that
Mm.
everyone played their wild card, and people left him out of their wild card. They hate anyone knowing anything, and they'll do anything to stop it. And Arteta goes in the press conference today. He goes like, "Yeah, well, it's not a serious injury. We hope he can make it." It's like,
Is
oh,
a hamstring? It's labelled as a hamstring.
supposedly. I mean, a hamstring is a serious injury, isn't it? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
long term, but
Yeah, you're in or you're out.
I mean, I've got Saka, and it's just like I haven't got a captain. He would be the most obvious captain. Um, so I'm like, I have to wait till the morning. I have to wait
Mm.
till the morning to find out if he's going to start, and well, which I probably won't because his kickoff's at 5:30. And then I'm teaching in the morning from
Mm.
10 o'clock through to 1 o'clock, and there's a little break, but it's just after the deadline.
Okay.
So I'm like, even if say it comes up half an hour before the deadline, because often stuff comes up in the last hour before the deadline, I won't even
Right.
know then. So I'm like, oh my God, like, should I just sell him and get in like Brennan Johnson instead and bring in Haaland? Because in 3 transfers, I could get rid of, well, I'll just show you my team in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get rid of, I can get rid of Watkins, and well, I can get rid of Ben White, who's still not going to play tomorrow. I don't know why I got him. It was a real risk. Take him down to a 4.4, like um, Moreno of Nottingham Forest, or Ait Nuri, Wolves, who've got good fixtures. Wolves,
Right.
not they're a good team, but they've got good fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
I could sell Saka and bring in Brendan Rodgers, and that would literally finance Watkins to Haaland. So in 3 transfers, I could get in Haaland. So I don't know. I don't know whether to do that or not, and I don't want to. And I figure that I'm getting in Haaland really for 2 game weeks where I think he will significantly outscore any of his competitors. But it's only those 2 game weeks where I think he's going to do that. And the rest of the time, I can have 2 players for his one. You see what I'm saying? I can have 2 good players for Haaland who could
Mm.
equal his score, you know. And because I haven't got him, it's like, well, why bring him in if it's I hate this. I mean, the problem with being when you go up to a high rank is you suddenly start doubting everything, you know. But I just need to relax and just take the rank drop, whatever happens, basically, and just go like, I'll lose 100,000, maybe 500,000 in this game week and the next one, even more possibly if Haaland really fucking messes up Southampton, which he probably will do. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but back to your team.
Um, well, as I said, I made the 3 transfers. Um, I took out Salah,
Right.
as you mentioned, and I swapped him for Saka, uh,
Hmm.
which then will give you the clue to my next transfer.
Hmm. Um, maybe you've upgraded Joel Pedro to Chris Wood, I'm thinking. Maybe. Maybe Chris Wood, maybe.
I can't have 2 Arsenal players.
Okay. Oh yeah, you only have one player from each team. So you're getting rid of Raya. Oh my God. The best keeper option in the game. What you taking in instead? Who would you be getting in instead of Raya? Let me think. Um, I'm guessing, well, you can upgrade him if you've gone down from Salah to Saka. So let me guess if it's another keeper that's any good. It could be the Chelsea keeper, maybe. What's his name? Sanchez, maybe. Which keeper would it be?
Yeah, but then I'd have to take out Palmer, and I don't want to take out Palmer because I can't
Oh
have 2
my
Chelseas.
God, this is complicated.
Yeah. So what I did was I took out um, Williams from Forest, the Forest goalkeeper,
Yeah,
the Forest defender,
yeah.
and I bought in Trent.
Okay.
And then I took out Raya and I bought in Sells from Forest, the Forest keeper, because I thought their fixtures looked good.
There is a chance he won't play.
There's a chance he won't play, but
Hmm.
that's I don't know what I can do about that now. So I ended up
Yeah.
losing the Arsenal for the Forest player, lose it, and then swapping the Liverpool and Arsenal's. Really, basically, I thought I could get better value for
Wow.
money I thought I'd get better value for money with Trent and Saka than Salah and Raya because my defense is so thin, and my defense is, my best player is Collins, but do you know what I mean? It's so
Well,
thin. It
having said
needed a
that,
little bit
your defense outscored a lot of defenses last week.
right, but
I
that's only
mean,
because Collins, amazingly, who got I think a goal
yeah,
and an assist,
yeah.
didn't get got no bonus
You
points as a
conceded three
defender.
goals, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at the bonus points from that game, it's absolutely ridiculous. Who gets the points? Collins as a defender gets a goal and an assist, and then something like no bonus.
Yeah.
I've just never seen that.
Yeah, I think when defenders concede, it's very unlikely they get any bonus points now. Unlike
Yeah,
last
that's interesting.
season, it's really hurt Pedro Porro's bonuses because he now doesn't get he got loads of bonus points last season, but Spurs conceded a lot of goals. They're conceding this season, so he doesn't get bonus points anymore.
Yeah, but to get a goal and an assist in a,
Yeah,
and get no bonus points, I mean, ridiculous. But
yeah,
anyway, that's
yeah.
what I've gone for. So yeah, and I'm gonna. So it ends up my team being Sells in goal, at the back, Trent, Collins, and Faze, and then in midfield, same as before, but Salah out, Saka in. Solanke and Haaland up front. I'm actually not going to play Mazraoui, the Man United defender, because they got Brentford at home, and I'd actually prefer the Brentford. I actually prefer the Brentford defender away at Old Trafford. I think just
Did you see
I
that Manchester United had a board meeting this
mm,
week that lasted 6 hours?
yeah,
And at the end of it, he's still the manager.
yeah.
They're probably discussing like the under soil heating or something. I don't know what they were
Well, it
discussing.
must be something, but I did see that they were thinking maybe it was going to be about the Tuchel sort of move,
Oh,
but then I heard that Tuchel signed his contract 10 days before the Greece game.
right.
So when Carsley says, "Oh, I don't know if I'll get the job. I don't know if I really want the job," he knew he hadn't got the job
But
10
he
days.
already sounded like he was That explains actually, because after the
Yeah,
game, he sounded like I'll probably just go back to managing the under 21s or something. I don't know what he said exactly. I didn't hear it, but
yeah,
I saw reports that he sounded like he'd already given up on it in a way, which obviously was
sure.
because of that.
And and also it explains why he plays that mad system in the first game against Greece with the five attacking midfielders and no striker. Um,
To teach everyone a lesson, like this won't work. Yeah, they probably deliberately lost the game. Like, I don't know.
what he did was he did it so that they think he did it
Yeah,
so that Tuchel doesn't have to experiment with that. It was just an experiment to see if it could
yeah,
work or not. And now it's
yeah,
been blown out of the water. It saves Tuchel experimenting with it, in his early games and getting criticised for it. He
yeah.
just wanted to see it as a dry run.
Right. I mean, that's
Because it was so
interesting.
bizarre. The picking was so bizarre. There
Uh,
was another reason behind that.
And what's your feeling on a non-Englishman being English manager?
I don't have any feelings about that. I guess there are two ways to look at it. We've had two before, so it's not a new thing. Um, and then I saw this crazy stat this week where people are saying no nation with a foreign manager has ever won the World Cup. Yeah, okay. Let's just go back for a second. Okay, now Spain have never had a non-Spanish coach. Italy have never had a non-Italian coach. Brazil have never had a non-Brazilian coach. Germany's always had German coach. It's quite common for nations not to have foreign coaches.
Well, it shows we know our level in terms of
Well, it
coaching.
does, yeah, because usually it's the smaller nations that have foreign coaches that need help because they haven't got good enough coaches.
I mean, it's the most critically. I mean, the thing that's in the most critical situation in our national game is coaching. I mean,
Yeah,
the coaches are awful, and you know, I think it'll be years before
catch
before
up.
English coach. Yeah, and obviously
Yeah,
everyone would prefer an English coach because there are
right,
plenty of English coaches that got jobs in the last 10 years that shouldn't have got them because they were English. They
right.
say it's the other way around, but it's not. It's like,
Yeah,
people like fucking um what's his name? The guy who managed you, the he managed you in Newcastle, and what was his name? Pardew,
mm,
Allardyce, Steve McLaren. They're all kinds of British manage. Oh, that Pulis guy. They're all decent at what they do, but they had no ambition for their in terms of how they set up. I mean, only Eddie Howe and Graham Potter showed any kind of sort of other ideas apart from the ones that they had. They all played the same way. Um,
yeah. Also, I know we like to criticise the FA and all that, but they've always taken the cheap option. So Southgate was the cheap option. They'd rather pay someone as little as possible to do the job. And I will give them credit; they've gone out and got Tuchel. Now, Tuchel is, he's won a Champions League. He's led whether it's Bayern Munich successfully or not, but at Chelsea, he's been at top clubs and he's managed top stars, and he didn't come cheap. And I'm pretty surprised actually that they went out and said, right, let's get someone who is kind of above our station in a
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so we can't knock it. I mean, we're all going to
look. I mean,
go on.
it's not like he was spoilt for choice in terms of jobs. He might have been able to get Man United job, but there weren't that many top clubs that were after Tuchel because he's not proven as an elite manager. He is in that sphere and he's got experience in that sphere. He won the Champions League with Chelsea, but if you look at each of his jobs, he's not. what's the expression, pulled up any trees in any of those jobs, but he's shown a lot of signs of understanding tactics. I'd be much happier with him taking on Italy or Brazil or France than I would be with any of the English candidates.
Hmm.
I don't think they'd know what to do tactically. It's not about, a lot of English fucking pundits, I'm getting a bit abusive today in my language, but a lot of English pundits think it's all about inspiration and motivation and confidence. That's all they understand. It's like, you go out there, you believe it, and then it happens. No, that's part of it. It's a big part of it, but it's not, it's a part, the extra part is crucial. If you don't go out there, I mean, even Pep Guardiola sends his team out to stop the other team when they're playing Bournemouth. He sends
Hmm.
players out to nullify the opposition when they're playing weaker teams. He doesn't only do it with bigger teams, and he changes his system every season. Every
Hmm.
season, he changes the system the team plays. He tweaks it a bit. He might not completely change it. They still play that monotonous passing game, but every season he'll play. He'll come up with a different way that they go forward. And sometimes he throws a surprise, like Doku was a bit of a surprise when he came in. The
All right.
dribbling winger, because you have to do that. Because if you don't do that, the other managers get used to you and start to turn you over. And that we've seen that with promoted teams. Well, they do well for 1 or 2 seasons, and then the other next season, the other teams will go, okay, we know who you are now. Yeah. So I'm, Southgate did not show enough tactical,
No.
whatever the opposite of ineptitude is, aptitude.
Hmm.
He didn't show enough tactical aptitude,
Hmm.
aptitude, while he was in the job to justify carrying on in the job. And although I was a huge defender of him while he was in the job, I was once we lost that final, I was like, okay, that's his time now. Um, so I agree with you. I don't think it's wrong. I think it was our only option actually. I was quite pleased when I found out. Um, okay, so I wanted to ask you about the international break in Brazil because Brazil have fixtures. The World Cup qualifiers happen, right?
Hmm.
What happens to the league there? Does it carry on as normal because they don't lose too many players for internationals?
No, we had that small break. The two strikers for Brazil now from Botafogo, Botafogo top of the league.
Okay.
So they were busy doing that. Um, but it's not like the Premier League where some clubs get absolutely decimated over the international break, where they have like 18 players disappear.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it always makes me laugh when they say the international breaks here that'll give I don't know, Ten Hag some sort of coach's team, and it will give him his team will disappear. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They come back literally on the Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, you get the
they
same amount
do.
of
Yeah,
time,
so he
or
hasn't had
even less. You get less
any time.
time. In fact,
Exactly, he hasn't had
yeah.
any time. Any training or tactics or anything like that with the players because they've all been away.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
mm,
except Johnny Evans, probably.
Except probably Johnny Evans. So he was there running around the field on his own, as he does most Saturdays. Um,
He was man
yeah,
of the match against Aston Villa.
yeah, yeah, he was. Who I can't remember who it was. Who was that? Who was the two of the back four? I remember thinking, was it Maguire and Johnny Evans or something like that? I can't remember who it
It
was.
was. I think it was Maguire and Evans. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I thought.
Villa fans must be going like, right, this is it now. And
Yeah.
and then it's a crap. It was a horrible game. I actually watched the Chelsea game. I think it was the Chelsea game on the other channel while it was going on. And then I
Okay.
went back to the Man United game at half time to kind of, how when you're watching it back, you can flip it on every time there's a stoppage. I ended up watching the whole first half in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So like, so nothing was happening at all.
Yeah. Although,
Um,
I'll just say this about the last game week, just to sum it up. I loved the Brighton comeback.
yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, I,
Such an amazing game. It was such a game. That was a classic game of two halves there.
no, for me, like, I really want. I know you don't like Spurs. You said in the last video. I really want Postecoglou to do better at Spurs, and that game and the Leicester game where he was winning at halftime and totally dominating the opposition and missing chances to make it
Mhm.
more, and then they let them back in.
Yeah.
It is terrible. It's
Mm.
absolutely terrible.
Very Spursy.
Yeah. So overpaid over the bar. Um, Piers is doing well. He's in second there. You're in fourth. Um, Liz is coming. I think Liz might have a good season this season. She's coming
Okay.
up there. Craig made some ground this week, and so did Rob Speak. Um, so I mean, everyone's still in it, really. Keith's falling down a bit. Let's have a look at that. Look at Keith's team.
Oh, there's a lot of mid-40 scores there, and then your 70 looks magnificent because that was a good week to have a good week.
I mean, this is the thing about not having Haaland is that
Mm.
the differentials you make are enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm just wondering, should I just go that way, And it's just more fun. It's more fun.
Right.
But I'm scared. I'm truly scared. I'll decide in the morning what to do.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you actually had two really good weeks. You had like captain picks, I think, that no one did or something. I can't remember
It
now.
was just incredibly jammy. I mean, the Palmer 4 goals was like it was like great. I mean, not many people had him anyway. Never mind as captain. So
Yeah.
it was like 50 points for me. It's like it was. So I mean, from that I
Yeah.
can say, well, like that's in the bank now. You know, I could just carry on, like knowing that I can could just carry on knowing that I can have that advantage going forward. And I mean, it's not. I shouldn't be so scared, but of course, once you get high, you want to get higher as well. It's like drugs. It's just dangerous shit. Um, so I think I've lost you at the minute. You're probably coming back now.
I'm back
That's
now, yeah.
that's the first time I've lost you since earlier, so that's good.
Okay,
Um,
sorry about
no problem. So anything else to tell us before? How's the tennis going? You're a regular tennis player. How's that going?
that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I can't do team sports because I hate people. So I have to do individual sports now because I'm a grumpy old man and I shout at teammates. So it's for the good of everyone that I just shout at myself. Yeah, it's all right. But the brain goes faster than the legs. That's the problem. You get to a point where I can get there, and then you can't. Still feels like you're running in jelly or something like that, or blancmange, and you think,
Hmm.
oh well. Uh, One of those things, I suppose. It happens to the best of us. Um,
Well, yeah, it happened to me a long time ago. I haven't played any sport since about 2011 or 12.
yeah, it's
Um,
good, but it's just painful because you remember how it used to be. Um,
hmm,
I just want to ask you a question, Am, just quickly. There's something called
hmm.
Fantasy Challenge.
Yeah,
Uh, which I don't know if anyone else is playing. I'll just say this: if you're not playing it, good for you. It's crap.
yeah.
And if you are playing it, yeah, it's so random. Last week they had something like you have to pick 5 players and not 11. It's rubbish.
Hmm.
And then they score points as normal, but you get bonuses because there's a theme each week. So last week it was Asian players or something like that. I can't remember.
That was so weak.
And then if you pick an Asian player,
That
and
was
it was so weak,
so
and you
weak.
could only find 4 players from Asia anyway in the
Yeah,
whole
they're all the same
tournament.
players. It's
In the
like,
whole,
come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Like,
everyone's got
find something
Mitoma
else
and
like
Son, and Son
Virgos
was
or
injured.
Sagittarians or
Yeah, I
something. I mean,
agree. I agree. Yeah, anything. It could just be anything. People with the letter A in their name would be
yeah.
fine, but Asian players was really weak. It's so badly done. They're trying to make it into something that it isn't. It's unnecessary, unneeded. And this week the theme is players. If your players get the most interceptions, they get a bonus point. Okay. I mean,
Wow.
how? Oh my god! So if you pick Kovacic and he makes 3 interceptions, he might get you a bonus point, and that means he goes up from 3 to 4. But surely you're going to pick someone like Salah anyway, because if he scores a goal, it's just there's no reason to pick players who are going to make interceptions. I think it was. So
Oh God.
please,
But
I literally
I
picked my
but I do want to
in
do
30
a
seconds,
I do want to do a fancy draft. I'm sure we
good.
could get a couple of
And
people
I
on
think it's
board with
something we
that.
could talk about next time.
I just looked it up. You mentioned it a couple of
Yeah,
weeks ago.
that would be a good topic.
I actually did one at the start of the season. I just looked up how it was doing. It's
Right.
not very good because like three of them are
Mm.
injured or something. You just have to stick with the same players that you chose in the first place, as I understand it. That's correct, right? So,
Yeah, but if you want to trade them, you can. You can
oh,
trade.
oh, okay. I didn't understand that. I looked at my team and
So
they,
if I, for example, I had Salah. I
yeah,
had Salah, and I didn't want him anymore this week. So I say to the group, I don't want Salah. Who wants him? And then
okay.
start another
I'm
player.
letting my group down then with that because I'm not involved in any of that.
Good. Predictions for the game weekend. Some great games this weekend.
Let's just have a look at the fixtures and just predict some results. Um, we've got literally about 3 minutes left.
All
So
right.
tomorrow, um, let me just share the screen. Tomorrow, the early game is Spurs
Spurs West Ham.
versus West Ham.
Great game.
I imagine there'll be goals in that, right? I mean, you could 2-2,
Yeah.
3-2, 4-4. I mean, could be anything.
Something like that's going to be. West Ham seems to be picking up a bit. Antonio scoring. Then you got Fulham Villa. Fulham doing much better than people expected, I think, to be honest. I think they've done really well. They've had a great start.
I didn't think they would be good because they lost Palhinha, but they've been brilliant, actually.
That's right, they have been. Then also, there's a couple of games here. There's Ipswich, Everton, Southampton, Leicester. Sort of like all
Difficult to
of the
call. Difficult to call
yeah,
both those
difficult to
games.
call. Difficult to call. I wouldn't like to say how any of those would go. And they could all go either way. So who knows? Same with Man United, Brentford. Not
Yeah,
sure about that.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then Newcastle, Brighton. Not sure about that, to be honest.
Newcastle will score a couple against Brighton. Brighton always letting goals away from home. Their defense is very poor.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I watch them, I don't know how they've got points because they're so leaky. They don't defend well from midfield. They haven't got good defensive midfield players. Although this kid Baleba, I don't know if he's a kid actually, but Baleba is
Mm-hmm.
actually I saw his face uh, and I'm a believer. He, he's
Mm-hmm.
he's all right, I think, but I don't. Whenever I see them, I don't rate their ability to control that area. And against Newcastle, they could. Isak is supposedly coming back. Um,
Okay, all right. Thing
uh,
is, Brighton can score goals as well, though.
yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely they can. And I mean, they've got really good players going forward. Even on the bench, they've got good players going
Mm-hmm.
forward. Um, and then Bournemouth, Arsenal. I think I read somewhere, I heard somewhere that this gives me hope if Saka is fit. Is that Bournemouth don't cope very well with the stronger teams because they like to play their own game and don't
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
they go at teams like Man United and beat them because they find their weaknesses, but they're a bit too supposedly I haven't checked this out, supposedly against the stronger teams they test them out too much and try and
mm,
take them on their own game and then get caught out. And now
yeah.
Arsenal are a typical team that will catch you out if you do that.
They will. Definitely. I'd go for an Arsenal win there. On the Sunday, I've got Haaland as my captain on Sunday, just because one of the reasons I actually got him as a captain, and it's your fault, is that because I'm chasing. When you start chasing, when you're behind,
Mm.
you've got to start doing something different. I know. Well, I thought you haven't got Haaland, so I thought that's how the only way I can really, you know, gain ground on you is having Haaland, and he
I
gets
think
something.
you have to captain Haaland if you have him this
Yeah,
week. There's no better captain, or even slightly, than
right.
him.
So that's what I went for. Yeah, and then of course the great game, Liverpool Chelsea. That will be the Sunday evening game.
I'm just wondering if that will be low on goals because people are expecting goals. I'm just wondering, given Slot's kind of hesitancy with his tactics, and
Yeah,
Chelsea, when they played Manchester City, played three defensive midfield players, Lavia, Caicedo, and the Argentinian twat. What's his name? Enzo. Um,
Yeah,
so
Enzo.
yeah, so I think they might do that again, and Liverpool might be a bit more. I mean, I think it could be 1-0 or 1-1 or
Yeah,
even nil-nil.
you don't think it's going to be a humdinger, no.
No, I don't see it
Um,
being an
I
amazing
can see
game.
that actually being strangely cagey, if you know what I mean. I just
Yeah,
think neither want to lose that, really. Um, Quick
there's a
question. Who are you captaining? You think of captaining Saka then?
uh, yeah. I'm thinking of captaining Saka. We've got less than 1 minute left, so we're going to have to wrap it up. I'll probably, if I if I don't captain Saka and I don't make any transfers, I'll probably captain Solanke.
Okay,
Which is really
fair
bad because it's the first game. It's a 12:30 game. I don't want to do that.
enough. No one likes captaining
Yeah.
the first game.